let's start by looking at one of the biggest names that shit his panties. One, Todd Gurley.
Oh, God Turdley. He was especially Turdley on Monday night.
Let's just start by saying that game was an abomination.
Yeah.
Football.
I was thinking about it. And my football watching resume isn't the longest in the history of football watchers. I've only been an avid watcher for 5 or 6 years now. So I've just invalidated my fantasy opinions. But
I still believe.
But even then, I watched most of the games every season. That's the worst game of football I've ever seen in my life. I was trying to remember if I've seen a worse game. That was it. That was because the Niners put up 28 points, but it was the ugliest 28 points you've ever seen. The first quarter was kind of fun to watch their offense because it was just Blaine Gabbert scrambling for 10 yards and getting hit every other play, and I was like, how is this their offense? How is this working? And then once they got any semblance of points, they just okay, we're gonna stop scoring points. And that third quarter was
that was the worst.
An entire quarter of 3 and outs. I think literally that entire quarter was both teams just going 3 and out back and forth.
Basically summarized by that play where Gabbert threw the pass, it got batted back to him. And rather than just letting the ball hit the ground for an incompletion, he catches it and goes backwards another 10 yards. So they lose 16 yards on field position. It would have been a 3 and out regardless, but I mean, come on.
It's why do you do that?
Yeah, I mean, that was just reaction right there. Oh, I gotta catch it. Oh, but
yeah, Gabbert was awful. It doesn't matter they won that game. He was awful. I mean, the 49ers looked, I guess, more competent than I thought they would. But
more competent than the Rams.
Yeah, that's the thing. The Rams look like they're going to be the worst team in the league this year, if you want to, overreact. I mean, this whole pod, everything after week 1 is an overreaction. So if we're just going to, add that disclaimer to everything we say, then we don't have to say it again. The Rams look like the worst team in the NFL. Yeah, the Rams look like the worst team in the NFL by, a wide margin, I would say, even worse than the Browns, who at least managed to score some points and move the ball a little bit.
Yeah, it was ugly, and bringing this back to Todd Gurley.
Yeah,
I mean, basically he was up against a stacked box the entire night. He was running into a wall. Mm-hmm. Actually, I saw this stat on Twitter that he had more yards after contact than he did total yards, which just tells you that he was getting blown up in the backfield almost every time he had the ball, and that he still had to fight and claw just to get a yard or two. I think he had one impressive run, and it was 11 yards. That was it.
Which is concerning since he totaled 40 yards, or roughly 40 yards.
It was bad for Todd Gurley, and I'm a Todd Gurley owner. You are now a Todd Gurley owner.
I'm now a Todd Gurley owner for some reason.
So are you concerned with what you saw from Todd Gurley? Do you think Todd Gurley owners should be concerned?
Yeah, actually I do. Even though I just bought him, I don't feel that psyched about it. I mean, none of this is a question of his talent. It's not that he was a one-year wonder in that respect. He's still probably the best running back in the league. I'd say he's better now than Adrian Peterson right now. But it doesn't matter when the defense, you're the only person the defense has to worry about. It was literally entirely stacked boxes the entire game. And the Rams' response, instead of, okay, let's try to stretch the field a little bit, was to just pass horizontally, was to just check down into nothingness for the entire game. And so
it was bad. It was really, really bad.
Yeah.
I mean, from watching Gurley, he didn't look bad as an individual.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't look terrible as an individual. I mean, he was making people miss, but the thing was, there would be somebody else right there ready to tackle him. So he'd make one guy miss, he'd make 2 guys miss, and then he'd get a yard.
Yeah.
So as a running back, he looked good. There was literally nothing about the situation that he could have done better. Mm-hmm. I mean, he tried to bounce it to the outside a couple times, nowhere to go. He tried to follow his blockers and run through the gut a couple of times, nowhere to go. So the Rams' offensive line looked incompetent. Their passing game looked incompetent. Like you said, it was all horizontal passes. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on. Now, it's overreaction city after week 1, so you shouldn't be panicking just yet. Mm-hmm. Actually, the way I'm looking at this is if you don't own Todd Gurley, we know that they play Seattle this week. It might not get any better for him this week.
I don't think so.
He might put up a similar stat line. And if that's the case, then he is really a buy low target.
Yeah.
Because he'll have 2 poor weeks under his belt, and the Gurley owner might be panicking. So, I mean, make an offer now, but wait for the next week too, because then you might not have to make as good of an offer to get Todd Gurley. I mean, the owner might be in full-blown Jody Fofo panic room mode.
Full case stew about it. Yeah, it's... I'm not really sure what to call Gurley. Normally, I'm pretty confident about this guy's a buy or a sell, and I guess I just kind of default to hold for this week.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you own Gurley, you're holding him. I think.
And even though I just went out and bought him, I don't recommend that wholeheartedly, because again, he's gonna probably have the same problem against Seattle. They're gonna do the exact same thing, and that is a better defense than the Niners, so they're gonna be successful doing it. I do think, to sort of sidestep a little bit, I do think that we're gonna, as the season goes on, realize that the Niners defense is better than we were assuming. Like, we're kind of assuming, oh, this defense is garbage. He just got stopped by this garbage defense. This is a bad sign. I think we're gonna find out they're actually like a pretty good defense when all is said and done. But Seattle's still a better defense, and so I think this is going to be just as rough of a week for him. So wait on Gurley. If you own him, trust that
you have to wait.
You have to wait. You have to hope the talent wins out. You have to hope that the Rams are smart enough to know they can't trot out the same offense they did this week. They have to do something different. They have to, or they will go 0-16. Like, that's a guarantee. So you have to hope they adjust in some way to just put together at least a competent enough passing offense that teams can't put literally every defender in the box.
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't even 7-9 bullshit that we saw from the Rams. That was 0-16 bullshit.
Yeah, the most entertaining part of that game was just being on Twitter and seeing what everyone else was saying about it. That was really the only redeeming factor.
GIFs.